There's something about a vintage recipe that just feels like a hug in the kitchen. Today we're making a true Canadian classic, the Queen Elizabeth cake. It's incredibly moist, packed with dates, and topped with the most addictive, crunchy, broiled coconut topping. Once you try a bite, you'll understand why this cake recipe has stood the test of time. I'm Nadine, and I'm so glad you're here in the kitchen with me today. Why don't you grab a coffee and let's get baking. A key component of the Queen Elizabeth cake is dates. And I have 1.5 cups of dates. That's about 225 grams. And these are pitted dates, but sometimes I find a pit sneaks through in the factory process, so I like to check each one of them. It's no fun biting into a wonderful moist piece of cake and crunch down on a date pit because they are hard on the teeth. So just take each one and just feel them. Make sure that there's no pits. These are pretty good. Just give them a little squeeze. If there's a pit in there, you'll feel it right away. So I've checked all my dates and none of them had any pits, but I do like to just be sure. And I've got them in a saucepan on top of the stove. And now I'm going to add 1.25 cups of water. That's about 300 milliliters. So just add the water to your dates, turn up the heat, and we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to simmer this for about 5 minutes till it's nice and thick. So that's what your dates should look like after they've simmered. They're soft, they're hydrated, and you have a very smooth mixture. So now you can turn off your heat, and we have 1 teaspoon of baking soda. We're going to stir that into the hot mixture, and that will get all nice, light and foamy. And then we can let this cool off while we work on the rest of our recipe. So while we're waiting for our date mixture to cool down, you can go ahead and do a few other tasks to get ready for baking the Queen Elizabeth cake. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and prepare a 9 by 9 inch square pan with some parchment paper. That'll just add a little extra insurance so your cake doesn't stick. And you can also measure out your other ingredients. I have flour, brown sugar, an egg, vanilla, butter, some baking powder, and some spices. The first thing we're going to do is cream together our butter and brown sugar. I have 1 packed cup of brown sugar, that's about 250 grams. Also 1/2 cup of room temperature butter. Let that all cream together. And once your brown sugar and butter are beaten together and they're somewhat fluffy, you can add your vanilla, about 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and I have 1 large egg. I always like to crack my egg into a bowl first. Sometimes I forget, but cracking it into a bowl first is helpful because then you can make sure you don't have any wayward eggshell, and you can make sure your egg is nice and fresh. So pop that into the brown sugar and butter mixture along with the vanilla, and beat this for about 3 minutes until everything is light and fluffy. That looks good, but we're just going to scrape down the sides of our bowl to make sure we have all the ingredients worked into the butter and brown sugar. And 1 more quick beat should do it. So that looks really good. And now we can mix together our dry ingredients. That's 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour and 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So just whisk that into your flour. And I also have some spices. This is a lovely fragrant cake, and it has 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. And I also have 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I used salted butter, so there's a fair amount of salt in this already, but just a little bit more to give it some oomph. If you are using unsalted butter, I would go ahead and increase the amount of salt to 1/2 teaspoon. So you can whisk those spices into your flour. And now we're going to add our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients. But first, I just want to make sure that that date mixture is cool enough. Grab your pot and check it. I can put my hand on the outside of the pot, and if I touch the date mixture itself with the back of a finger, yeah, it's warm, but it's not hot, so you're not going to scramble that egg or melt the butter. So Just set this to one side. So now I'm going to add half of this flour mixture into the butter, brown sugar, and egg. And just give this a slow mix to combine. Now we're going to add half of the date mixture. Give that another mix. Scrape down your bowl. Add the remaining half of your dry ingredients and give that a mix to incorporate. And now add the remaining half of your date mixture. Use a spatula to get all those dates out of your saucepan because they are delicious. Okay, one last mix. And you just want to mix this until everything is just combined. You're not going to beat this cake. You're just going to mix it until all of the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients are incorporated. That looks good. I'm just going to scrape down the bowl one last time to make sure everything is completely mixed in. You don't want any dry ingredients hiding out at the bottom of this bowl. One last little turn around the mixing bowl. And that's it. So now we can pour our batter into the pan. And just use your spatula to push that batter into the corners of the pan. And now into our preheated oven for 20 to 25 minutes. And I know I've said it a million times, everyone's oven is different. My oven tends to run hot, so I'm going to start checking mine at about the 20-minute mark, but it'll probably take, because this has a lot of moisture from the dates, it's probably going to take the full 25 minutes, but you never know. So into the oven, and we'll work on our topping while the cake is baking. When the cake is about 5 minutes away from being done, you want to start working on the wonderful coconut topping for the cake. So we have 1.5 cups of shredded coconut, and usually a package of coconut is about 200 grams, 1.5 cups of coconut, so the whole package is ideal for this recipe. So just put this into your saucepan. I also have 1/2 cup of brown sugar, and I have about 6 tablespoons of butter. I also have 6 tablespoons of cream. So now we're going to put this on the stove top. While the cake finishes baking, we're going to boil this for about 2 minutes until it's nice and soft and hot and bubbly, and then we'll pour it over the cake. So follow me over to the stove. I have my saucepan over a medium heat, and we're just going to bring all of this together so that the butter melts, the sugar dissolves, and this forms a lovely bubbly coconut topping. That's going to take 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, our coconut topping is cooked and it's finished. So now we can take this off the heat and we'll check our cake. Our cake smells done, looks done. It smells so nice. You can press it with your finger. You can use a toothpick. The toothpick came out nice and clean. One method I'm really loving these days is the thermometer. So I use it for breads, I use it for all sorts of things, but for a cake like this that has a lot of moisture from fruit, it's fairly dense, so you want the internal temperature to be about 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's see what we get. And yes, we are there. So now our next step, we're going to put the topping on top now, and we're going to broil it. And because we have parchment paper, there's a danger that the parchment paper could scorch. So just as best you can, fold back this parchment paper, or you can even trim it away. I think folding it back will do the trick for me. Hopefully the smoke detector doesn't go off. And you want to turn the broiler on to your oven. So go ahead and do that. Broiler is on, and now here is our beautiful coconut topping. So we're just going to pour this all over the top of our baked cake. This is still hot, and it should be hot. Spread this all over the top of your cake. And this is the best part. Just work that coconut topping so that it's evenly spread all over the cake. And then you're going to put this under the broiler to bubble and brown, and that's going to make everything wonderful and toasty. And don't take your eyes off it when it's under the broiler, because this will be done in about 2 or 3 minutes. Just leave your oven door open a crack and keep an eye on it, because toasted coconut is wonderful, burnt coconut is not. So into the oven and under the broiler. So the coconut topping has been under the broiler and it's all lovely and toasty and gorgeous. And now we have to let this cool. You can serve this cake slightly warm, but it's better to let it cool off completely, and then you can cut it into squares. Once it is cool, I'll come back and we'll slice a piece and see what it looks like, and better yet, what it tastes like. Well, our Queen Elizabeth cake is still a little bit warm, but it was cool enough to handle, so I lifted it out of the pan, and now we can cut into it, and I'll show you what it looks like, and we'll take a little taste. Usually, this is supposed to serve 16 squares, so 4 this way and 4 this way, but let's be honest, we're probably going to get 9 squares out of it. 3 and 3. Yeah, it's still warm, and that topping is a little gooey, but oh my, the smell. This brings back so many memories. My mom made this cake, and it was one of our family's favorites. How gorgeous is that? So lovely. It's dark and deep brown from all the dates and the spices, and that ooey gooey, crunchy coconut topping. I just know from looking at it, it's going to be divine. Let's give a little taste. And as I said, this cake is meant to be served cold, not refrigerator cold, but completely cooled. But who can wait that long, especially for a cake like this? Heavenly, fit for a queen. You can really taste the rich dates, all that brown sugar and butter, and the spices, the cinnamon, the nutmeg, the allspice. It really is a lovely cake, and very moist, very Moorish. I think, yeah, you definitely want to serve maybe smaller pieces than what I've cut, but I just wanted to show you how lovely it is. And if you're wondering, why is it called a Queen Elizabeth cake? Well, this cake became very popular in the 1950s. And as far as I can tell, the history of this cake is that a lady developed the recipe and published it to celebrate the coronation of Princess Elizabeth, who became Queen Elizabeth. So Chatelaine magazine, which is a very popular magazine here in Canada, they published the Queen Elizabeth cake recipe in the June 1953 issue of Chatelaine, and it became a household hit. So all the bakers across Canada, probably in other parts of the world, baked Queen Elizabeth cake, and my mother was one of them. So in the 1950s and 60s and beyond, she baked this cake all the time. As I said, she could bake it with her eyes closed. And if there was a church supper or a bake sale, this is what my mom would bake, among many other delicious things. So I hope you enjoyed this little slice of Canadiana. I would love it if you would try it out and let me know how you like the recipe. Maybe give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and if you want to see what I'm baking here every single week, maybe consider subscribing. I have a new recipe just about every Sunday, and most of the time we're baking. Sometimes we're making seafood because I'm here in Nova Scotia in Canada, and I really love hanging out with you in my kitchen. So thank you very much for watching. I hope I'll see you here again very soon. Bye for now.